My dear friends, have you ever noticed the people who hurt us the most are often the ones we gave our hearts to? And the people we trusted blindly are the ones who left us in the dark? But what if I told you something surprising today? You don't get hurt because of what people do, you get hurt because of what you expect. And once you master this one secret, nobody on this planet will have the power to hurt you again. When we feel hurt, my friends, it is rarely because someone did something unimaginable. It is mostly because somewhere inside us, we believed they would behave exactly the way we would have behaved. We expected them to think with our mind, feel with our heart, love with our sincerity, and stay with our loyalty. But the truth is, nobody in this world has your heart. Nobody has lived your experiences, your lessons, your scars, your values. And yet, without realizing it, we project our nature onto the people around us. We think, if I would never do this, how could they? We think, if I care so deeply, why can't they? And that expectation becomes the birthplace of pain. You see, people don't hurt us because they are necessarily cruel. Many times they hurt us because they are different. Their upbringing is different. Their emotional capacity is different. Their priorities are different. Some people love deeply. Some love casually. Some communicate openly. Some hide everything inside. Some people value loyalty as the highest virtue. Others are still figuring out what loyalty even means. When you expect someone to give you what they don't even have within themselves, disappointment becomes guaranteed. Think about it. You might give your whole heart to someone because that is who you are, but expecting them to give the same heart back when maybe they don't even know how to love themselves is like expecting an empty cup to overflow. It's unrealistic, it's painful, and it's unfair to you and to them. And often the people who hurt you did not wake up thinking, let me break this person today. No, they simply acted from their nature, from their limitations, from their insecurities. You got hurt because you expected them to have your wisdom, your empathy, your emotional maturity. But they might not be there yet. They might never reach that level. And that's okay, because it's not your job to change them. It's your job to understand, to accept reality instead of fighting it. So instead of saying, how could they do this to me? Try asking, why did I expect something they never promised or proved? Instead of expecting people to behave like you, try to observe how they behave naturally. When you see a person clearly, without the filter of your hopes, you stop giving them the power to shock you or wound you. You understand their capacity. You understand their patterns. And once you understand someone, you stop expecting the impossible. This is the secret. Expect people to behave according to their character, not your imagination. When you stop expecting your level of integrity from someone who hasn't built that integrity within themselves, a huge weight lifts off your heart. Suddenly, their actions don't pierce you the same way. Suddenly, your peace is not destroyed by their inconsistency. Suddenly, you realize the hurt was never caused by what they did, but by what you expected. My friends, the day you stop seeing people as extensions of yourself, you free yourself from emotional pain. People will still act the way they act, but it will no longer break you. Because you finally understood that not everyone is you, and that's perfectly all right. My friends, so many of us walk into relationships, friendships, and connections with a heart full of softness, believing that if we are kind, the world will automatically be kind back. But life doesn't work like that. Kindness is a gift, but when kindness is given without boundaries, it turns into exhaustion, disappointment, and silent suffering. Many people are not intentionally hurting us. We are hurting ourselves by giving too much access, too much trust, too much emotional space to those who have not earned it. Think about how easily we hand over our trust. Someone smiles, someone speaks sweetly, someone shows a little affection, and we open our entire emotional home to them. We let them walk in with their shoes on, leaving footprints all over the floor of our heart. And when they leave muddy marks, we blame them entirely, instead of asking ourselves why we opened the door without any filter, without any protection. Boundaries are not walls. Walls shut people out. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. And many of us are suffering today because we confuse the two. We thought setting boundaries would make us look rude or selfish or distant. We thought saying no would make us lose someone. But in reality, the people who walk away because of healthy boundaries were never meant to stay. And the people who truly care will respect your lines, your limits, your emotional space, because they value you, not just what they get from you. When we trust blindly, we give others the power to disappoint us deeply. Blind trust is not faith, it's attachment mixed with fantasy. True trust grows slowly, like a tree. It takes observation, it takes consistency, it takes experiences shared over time. But many of us trust in minutes what should take months to prove. And this is where pain begins. You see, my friends, every time you say yes when your heart is screaming no, you are betraying yourself. Every time you give one more chance to someone who has done nothing to deserve the last 10 chances, you are teaching them that your heart is available for misuse. Every time you stay silent when something hurts you, you are telling them it is okay to repeat it, and people will treat you according to the rules you set or the lack of them. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about controlling the access others have to your peace. It is telling the world, I value myself enough to protect what is sacred to me. And believe me, the more clear your boundaries are, the more peace you will have, because suddenly you stop tolerating emotional chaos. You stop giving unlimited chances. You stop allowing people to drain you. You stop letting anyone walk into your life just because they feel like it. Some people cannot meet your expectations because they don't even meet their own. Some people cannot give you respect because they haven't learned to respect themselves. Some people will take advantage of your kindness not because they are evil, but because you made your kindness too easily accessible. When someone knows you will tolerate everything, they will eventually give you nothing. The moment you draw a boundary, something powerful happens. People reveal their true intentions. The ones who genuinely care will adjust, understand, and grow with you. The ones who were there only to take will resist, complain, or disappear. But instead of fearing this, embrace it. Boundaries filter your life. They protect your heart from people who were never meant to hold it. So, my friends, stop thinking boundaries make you hard or unloving. Boundaries don't limit your kindness, they protect it. They preserve your energy, they guard your peace. And most importantly, they remind you that while it is beautiful to love freely, it is wiser to love consciously. Because kindness without boundaries is not compassion, it is self-neglect. And you deserve more than that, my friends. One of the greatest sources of emotional pain in our lives is not what people do to us, but how we instantly react to what they do. We don't take a moment to breathe, to understand, to step back. We just react. And in that reaction, we often say things we don't mean, make decisions we later regret, and create wounds that didn't need to exist. When we react, we hand over our peace to the situation. But when we respond, we take our peace back into our own hands. Think about this. Someone says something hurtful in the heat of the moment. If we react instantly, our ego replies before our wisdom does. Our anger speaks before our heart does. We raise our voice instead of raising our understanding. And in that instant, we lose control, not of the situation, but of ourselves. We may win the argument, but we lose our inner stability, and that is never a victory. Learning to respond instead of reacting is like learning to master your own weather. No matter how stormy someone else becomes, you don't allow their storm to enter your sky. You stay calm, grounded, centered, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to realize that not every action deserves your energy. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every insult deserves your reaction. Some things are simply not worth the emotional rent they demand. When you react, people control you. When you respond, you control yourself. It's so easy to get triggered in today's world. A message left unseen, a rude tone, a forgotten gesture, a careless remark, and suddenly our mind creates stories. They don't care about me, they are disrespecting me, they are ignoring me. And once the mind writes a story, the heart starts reacting to a story that is not even real. This is how misunderstandings are born. This is how relationships break. This is how peace disappears over things that never truly existed. But when you train yourself to pause, just pause, everything changes. That pause becomes your power. That pause becomes your protection. That pause gives your mind a chance to think, your heart a chance to breathe, and your soul a chance to choose a wiser path. In that pause, you ask yourself, is this worth losing my peace for? Is this really about me? Or is this person acting from their own stress? Can I handle this with clarity instead of impulse? Most of the time, people behave badly not because of us, but because of something happening inside them. Maybe they are tired, stressed, insecure, overwhelmed. Maybe they are fighting a battle they never told anyone about. When you react, you add fuel to their fire. When you respond, you help calm the flames in them and in yourself. Responding doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you choose the sanest, most peaceful way to communicate your boundaries, your feelings, your truth. You speak with intention, not impulse. You express, but you don't explode. You stand firm, be. You don't fall into chaos. Some of the strongest people in this world are not the loudest. They are the calm ones. The ones who don't shout, but stay centered. The ones who choose maturity over aggression. The ones who refuse to respond from their wounds and instead respond from their wisdom. This strength doesn't come overnight. It comes from practice, awareness, and emotional discipline. And my friends, when you learn to respond instead of react, something magical happens. Nobody can drag you into their chaos anymore. Nobody can control your mood. Nobody can steal your peace. You realize that your emotional stability is in your hands, not in the hands of someone else's behavior. Reacting is natural. Responding is spiritual. It is the art of staying rooted in your values, even when the world around you is shaking. It is the strength of choosing peace over pride. And once you learn this art, you will find that situations that once hurt you deeply no longer break you, because you have mastered yourself. And that is the greatest victory of all. My friends, one of the most liberating realizations in life is understanding that most of the things people say or do have nothing to do with you. Yet we take things so personally that we end up carrying burdens that were never ours to carry. We let a stranger's comment ruin our day. We let a loved one's mood convince us that we are the problem. We let someone's silence make us feel unworthy. And all this time, the truth is simple. People act from their inner world, not because of your value. Imagine a person who is angry inside, frustrated inside, insecure inside. How do you think they speak? How do you think they behave? Their words become weapons not because you deserve pain, but because they are fighting a battle within themselves. When someone throws fire, it's because they're burning inside. When someone speaks poison, it's because they're infected with their own wounds, fears, and past experiences. But what do? We take their fire personally. We swallow their poison. We make their emotional storms about us. Taking things personally is like standing in the rain and believing the sky is targeting you. The rain is not falling on you. It is simply falling. People's behavior is not directed at you. It is simply reflecting what is happening inside them. Think back to the last time someone snapped at you for no reason. Maybe they were rude, maybe they were cold, maybe they ignored you. In that moment, your mind might have said, "What did I do wrong? Why did they treat me like this?" But pause, breathe, and think deeper. Maybe they had a difficult day. Maybe they were overwhelmed. Maybe they were dealing with something painful that you know nothing about. Maybe their silence had nothing to do with you. They were simply lost in their own thoughts. We assume too much. We interpret too much. We attach stories to people's actions. And those stories hurt us more than the action itself. That is why taking things personally is like creating wounds out of shadows. It drains your energy, disturbs your peace, and makes you a prisoner of assumptions. And here is the truth many people never realize. You are not responsible for someone else's emotional weather. You could be the kindest person, the gentlest soul, but someone who is hurting inside may still hurt you. Not because you deserve it, but because that is the only language they know right now. A person who feels small inside will try to make others feel small. A person who feels unloved inside will struggle to show love. A person who is drowning in self-doubt will question everyone's intentions. A person who doesn't trust themselves will never trust you. None of this is about you. When you understand this, your heart becomes lighter. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop feeling guilty for things you didn't cause. You stop internalizing someone else's chaos. And instead of reacting emotionally, you observe with compassion. You listen with understanding. You stay grounded in your own worth. Taking things personally means giving others power over your emotions. But refusing to take things personally is emotional freedom. It means you understand that your value is not determined by someone else's mood or opinion. You don't lose sleep over someone's temporary behavior. You don't question your worth because someone else is having a bad day. You don't break yourself trying to fix what was never yours. Imagine how peaceful life becomes when someone's anger no longer shakes you, when someone's silence no longer scares you, when someone's opinion no longer defines you, when someone's behavior no longer controls your inner world. This is the miracle that happens when you realize what people say about you is a reflection of them. What you believe about yourself is a reflection of you. So, my friends, the next time someone speaks harshly, stay calm. The next time someone disappoints you, stay centered. The next time someone acts cold or distant, remember, not everything is about you. And the moment you stop personalizing other people's behavior, you reclaim your peace, your emotional space, and your power. That is when life becomes lighter. That is when your heart becomes stronger. And that is when you truly become unshakable. My friends, one of the most profound truths of human relationships is this: people rarely hurt you because of who you are. They hurt you because of what is hurting inside them. And when you finally understand this, something inside you softens. You stop taking their actions as personal attacks. You stop carrying their wounds as if they belong to you. You begin to see people not as villains, but as human beings struggling with inner battles you may never fully understand. Every person you meet is carrying a story, a childhood that shaped them, a heartbreak that scarred them, a fear that controls them, a trauma that silenced them. When someone raises their voice, it is often not anger. It is a cry from an unresolved wound. When someone becomes distant, it is not rejection. It is the shadow of their own insecurities. When someone lies, withdraws, or pushes you away, it is not because you are unworthy. It is because they haven't healed the parts of themselves that believe love is unsafe. People don't hurt you with their behavior. They hurt you with their unhealed history. Imagine a person who has never received unconditional love. How will they know how to give it? Imagine someone who has always been betrayed. How will they trust you fully? Imagine someone whose confidence has been broken repeatedly. How will they believe your compliments? Imagine someone who grew up surrounded by criticism. How will they speak gently? Imagine someone who has been abandoned. How will they not fear losing you? Their reactions are shaped by pain. Their patterns are shaped by fear. Their decisions are shaped by survival, not intention. But what do? We take everything at face value. We assume that the argument is about us. We assume the silence is about us. We assume the harsh words are about us. And we forget to look beneath the surface where a person's real wounds live. A person shouting at you may actually be shouting at their past. A person ignoring you may actually be hiding from their own emotions. A person pushing you away may actually be terrified you will leave first. A person breaking your trust may never have learned what trust even means. People break hearts from places where their own heart was broken. And when you start seeing this, something beautiful happens. You stop answering pain with pain. You stop reacting to wounds with more wounds. Instead, you develop compassion. Not weakness, not tolerance of mistreatment, but compassion. A deeper understanding that their behavior is not a measure of your worth. This doesn't mean you justify everything people do. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect or stay in unhealthy situations. But it does mean you see clearly instead of blindly. You respond wisely instead of reactively. You protect your heart while understanding theirs. When someone hurts you, pause and think, what are they dealing with that I cannot see? What wound inside them is speaking right now? What pain are they projecting onto me? Most people are not intentionally cruel. They are simply unaware, unhealed, and emotionally lost. When someone has lived years carrying pain, that pain becomes their personality. When someone has lived years suppressing emotions, those emotions explode unexpectedly. When someone feels unloved, they question every bit of love you offer. When someone feels unworthy, they sabotage the very things that could heal them. And none of this is about you. When you understand that people hurt from their wounds, you stop trying to fix them. You stop blaming yourself. You stop holding on to guilt for things beyond your control. You stop thinking you weren't enough. You stop believing their actions define you. You simply say they are acting from a place of hurt, and that hurt has nothing to do with my value. This understanding protects your peace. It softens your heart. It frees you from emotional entanglements. Because once you see the truth, you no longer bleed over someone else's unhealed cuts. You no longer break yourself trying to mend someone who refuses to face their own pain. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into someone's damaged verb. Sign of love. My friends, when you realize that hurt people, you stop absorbing their pain. You recognize that everyone is fighting a battle, and some battles are so heavy that they spill over onto others. Let their wounds explain their behavior, but don't let their behavior damage your soul. This is how you protect your heart without hardening it. This is how you stay compassionate without losing yourself. This is how you stop being hurt, not by others, but by misunderstanding others. This understanding is freedom. My friends, one of the most powerful ways to stop being hurt by people is to finally understand that your peace is your responsibility. Not someone else's apology, not someone else's behavior, not someone else's approval, not someone else's consistency. The moment you hand over your peace to another person, you also hand them the power to disturb you anytime they choose, or even without choosing. And most of the time, people aren't even aware that they are affecting you so deeply. It is you who ties your peace to their actions, and it is you who must learn to untie it. There comes a moment in life when you realize that waiting for someone to act right, behave right, speak right, or love you right is like waiting for the weather to obey your mood. You can hope, you can wish, you can pray, but the weather will change on its own terms, and so will people. Some days they will be warm, some days cold, some days stormy. If your peace depends on how they behave that day, then your heart will forever be at the mercy of someone else's emotional season. But peace, real peace, comes from within, from something stable, something grounded, something deeply rooted in self-awareness. Not from being untouched by difficult people, but from being unaffected in the presence of difficult people. Imagine sitting in a beautiful garden just because of you. Leaves fall or breeze becomes strong. You don't pick up the entire garden and throw it away. You simply remain seated, appreciating the beauty, letting nature do what it does. In the same way, when someone changes their tone, their mood, or their opinions, you don't uproot your peace. You breathe, you observe, you remain centered in yourself. And this self-centering is not selfishness, it is self-respect. When you protect your peace, you protect your clarity, your emotional health, your sanity. Because without peace, everything becomes heavier. Conversations feel draining, minor issues feel overwhelming, small mistakes feel personal, and simple problems feel like attacks. Peace is your inner light, and without it, everything becomes dark. Many of us make the mistake of building our peace on unstable foundations, on people who are unpredictable, on expectations that have never been communicated, on fantasies we created in our minds. And when reality doesn't match the picture we painted, our peace shatters. But was it ever real peace if it depended so heavily on something outside you? Peace is not something the world gives you. It is something you choose daily. You choose peace when you stop arguing with someone who only wants to win, not understand. You choose peace when you walk away from drama instead of participating in it. You choose peace when you let go of people who drain you more than they nourish you. You choose peace when you stop responding to every provocation. You choose peace when you realize that not everything needs your reaction. There is a quiet strength in being calm, not because life is easy, but because you refuse to let chaos enter your inner space. You decide what lives inside you. You decide what deserves your energy. You decide which battles are worth fighting. And the truth is, most battles are not when someone criticizes you unfairly. Your peace reminds you that their opinion is not your identity. When someone leaves you without explanation, your peace reminds you that closure comes from understanding, not from people. When someone tries to pull you into their negativity, your peace reminds you that you don't have to lower your vibration to match theirs. When someone treats you coldly, your peace reminds you not to mirror their behavior, but to maintain your own standards. Peace does not mean you stop caring. Peace means you stop suffering for things beyond your control. The more you value your peace, the less nonsense you accept. The more you strengthen your inner world, the less the outer world can shake you. The more you build emotional discipline, the less you fall apart over temporary situations. My friends, when you finally learn to protect your peace, you become untouchable. Not because people stop being difficult, but because their difficulty no longer decides your emotional state. You rise above reaction. You rise above insecurity. You rise above the need to take everything seriously. And in that rising, you become free. Your peace is not found in others. Your peace is found in the space you create within yourself, where no one else has the authority to enter without your permission. That is emotional freedom. That is strength. That is how you stop being hurt by anyone ever again. My friends, one of the most painful experiences in life is expecting someone to be something they simply cannot be. We expect honesty from people who are still learning to be honest with themselves. We expect loyalty from people who have never experienced true loyalty in their own lives. We expect consistency from people who are fighting internal chaos every single day. We expect maturity from people who are still dealing with their own emotional childhood. And without realizing it, we set ourselves up for disappointment by placing expectations on people who are not capable of meeting them. Imagine giving a heavy book to a child and getting angry when they drop it. Would you blame the child, or would you acknowledge that the weight was too much for them to handle? In the same way, the emotional weight we carry, trust, transparency, commitment, understanding, not everyone is strong enough or ready enough to hold it. But instead of recognizing their limitation, we take their failure personally. And that, my friends, becomes the root of unnecessary suffering. People cannot give you what they have never learned to receive. They cannot pour love from an empty heart. They cannot offer clarity when their mind is confused. They cannot offer stability when their inner world is trembling. Yet we keep expecting, and every unfulfilled expectation feels like a wound. But the wound is not caused by their action. The wound is caused by our assumption that they were capable of more. Expectation is not the problem. The misplacement of expectation is. We must learn to observe a person before handing them emotional responsibilities. Observe how they treat others when they are angry. Observe how they behave when they are stressed. Observe what they do when they are wrong. Observe how they speak about people who are not present. Observe whether their actions match their promises. Because these observations will show you much more than their words ever will. But we fall in love too quickly. We trust too quickly. We attach too quickly. We give our hearts to people we barely understand. And when they cannot meet the emotional standards we silently set for them, we feel hurt. Not because they betrayed us, but because we built an image of them that never existed. It is unfair to expect depth from someone who has never practiced introspection. It is unfair to expect commitment, from someone who fears being tied down. It is unfair to expect honesty from someone who lies to themselves every day. It is unfair to expect emotional maturity from someone who has never been taught how to handle feelings. And it is unfair to expect healing behavior from someone who is still bleeding from their past. The moment we understand this, something inside us relaxes. We stop forcing people to be what they are not. We stop holding on to false hopes. We stop trying to extract fruit from a tree that has not grown roots. Instead, we learn to meet people exactly where they are, not where we imagine them to be. This doesn't mean we lower our standards. It means we align our expectations with someone's reality, not with our fantasy. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Not with judgment, not with anger, but with clarity. Some people can walk beside you but not lead you. Some people can offer companionship but not emotional depth. Some people can share moments but not meaning. Some people can give affection but not commitment. And when you understand that, you stop asking them for what they cannot give. Instead, you adjust your emotional distance. You protect